Man, we've got a lot to unpack. What is up, YouTube? Welcome to a brand new episode of SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast Siblings. I'm Chris Grant Jr., and today, of course, we are talking about episode 6 of C. Now, there's some good things and some kind of bad things with this episode, but before we get into all that, thank you to the subscribers, as always. And if you're new here and you like talking about movies and TV shows, consider clicking the subscribe button and the bell so you can find out when we drop more episodes just like this one. So let's dive in. I'll give you a quick spoiler warning. We're going to talk about some major developments for episode 6. If you haven't seen it, go watch the first 5 episodes. I've made videos on those as well. I'll put the link down in the description below. And without further ado, episode 6. Now, quick right off the bat, and we'll get into this later in the episode, but I've been predicting this. I've been predicting that Taniwha was going to be evil, that was her ultimate path. They alluded to this and kind of doubled down on it in this episode with the character Delia, who says something like, she saw, be so very careful with her. So stay tuned till the end of the episode and we'll talk about that. So like I said, there was good news and there was bad news with this episode. The good news was that we got a whole lot of information. The bad news is that, well, I think we got too much information. I mean, a lot of these plot lines I didn't see fully developing this season, let alone in the first 6 episodes. Which, speaking of the first season, the show's already been renewed for the second season. I don't know if you guys knew that, but if you're excited for that, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so major developments. This show is no time getting into major reveals, and they kick it off with Boots, who tells Baba Voss and the gang that Magra is dead. Now, at this point, all my trust of Boots just went out the window, because we know at the end of episode 5, Magra is in charge. Like, she has the entire army bowing down to her, and she certainly is not dead. But here's my theory on what's happening with Boots. He's a very complicated character, and I believe that he's still primarily motivated and driven by his desire to be loved, by his desire to not be abused, and to be part of something. The problem is he's on the extreme opposite of the situation he was in before. I mean, before he was so special, so unique, that it made people fear him, it made people abuse him, and kind of just ostracize him. Now he's in a situation where he's not really special at all. I mean, he's got 2 siblings in Kofun and Taniwha who are not only just as good at seeing as he is, but they're also more loved by Magra and Baba Voss, obviously, because it's their kids. So he devises a plan to become the only child, at least in Magra's eyes, because she is the one who he wants love from. So he's a pretty smart dude. I mean, he tells the family that Magra's dead, so that they pretty much won't go looking for her, even though they don't really believe him. Then he gets them trapped in this glowworm cave, which we find out later in the episode is a place that they could live out the rest of their lives, and in doing so, he would effectively move them out of the scenario without killing them. He then moves the next part of his plan into motion by going to Magra and then asking to be his lieutenant. And it's kind of sad that you can tell he's abused, because he doesn't ask in return to be loved. He just asks her not to be mean to him. You can tell he really wants to be loved, but he's too afraid to ask to be loved. Okay, another major development that we get is when Team Baba are in the cage and Kofun explodes at Taniwha, and this gives us a real good look into his feelings toward her at this point and how they've been building up. This resentment's been building up. Basically, he says, look where you've led us. You've been so arrogant and hard-headed. Everyone's kind of bent to her will in previous episodes. They shouldn't have been out there in the first place, and then they met Boots, and then they shouldn't have really accepted him into their group, and they did. And now, obviously, he's dealing with the weight of what he thinks is his dead mother, and so it's all just coming out in this moment of rage. And guys, I really think they've been building up this conflict between Kofun and Taniwha since the beginning. I've been talking about it since like episode 3 or 4. So next up, we catch up with the Queen in the Silk Factory, and let's dive into how her story develops in the episode. So it's revealed via a flashback that Queen Kane and Magra are indeed sisters, which we've been talking about since the beginning. We kind of saw this coming, but their father, King Kane, he tells Magra that she needs to be the rightful ruler, even though she's the youngest. I think there's about a 10-year age difference between the 2 girls, and he says it on his deathbed, and Queen Kane, obviously, is going to cause some tension between her and her sister. Now, we find out all the little details about what transpires after the king's death via a conversation between Magra and Tamakti June. So this is kind of what bothered me. There were 2 scenes like this in the episode where it's kind of just an information dump. Usually shows like to show you what's happening in the story via scenes or even a cliche like a flashback. But no, in this scene, we just get dialogue between Tamakti June and Magra discussing the details of what happened. Obviously, they both already know the details. So the reason they would be discussing it and talking about the whole backstory is simply for the audience. It just kind of throws you out of the story a little bit. So we find out that Queen Kane rules after the king's death roughly 10 years. I mean, Magra says that she tried to take the throne when she came of age. We'll assume she was about 18, 19. So assuming, I mean, she looked 8 at the time of the king's death, she waits about 10 years and then she tries to take the throne. And Tamakhti Jun kind of had the deciding vote when it was, you know, it was time to decide whether Magra was going to take her sister's birthright or whether Queen Kane would continue to rule. Now, I'm getting into theory land a little bit here, but it seems like Tamakhti Jun and Magra had a good relationship, even a great relationship, but there's something else going on between the Tamakhti Jun Queen Kane relationship. I think it may be that Tamakhti Jun loves Queen Kane, or there's something else there that would make him not vote for what he knew was the right thing, in knowing the king, in understanding that Magra was probably the best one to rule, in seeing that Queen Kane probably wasn't a great ruler for those 10 years even before we got there. He should have known to vote for Princess Magra, but I think there was something else there in that relationship that caused him to vote for Queen Kane. Now, we kind of know that those feelings aren't necessarily reciprocated by Queen Kane because she has a thing for Gerald Morel, who falls in love with Princess Magra, and they run away together. Now, guys, this was something that I was predicting in episodes past. The part that I didn't get right, I thought that Magra had faked her death to run away with Gerald Morel, but instead, Magra just ran away, and Queen Kane made up a story that Magra had died. Now, there's something that needs a little clearing up for me. Magra says that after it was decided that Queen Kane would rule and not Magra, she said that she just couldn't stay. Now, I don't know if this was because she thought the queen would kill her, or because the people would hate her, or because it was just too embarrassing, but maybe just a little bit more clarification on exactly why she left would be helpful. And another thing that doesn't add up with Gerald Morel's story, Magra said that, you know, obviously Gerald Morel had a chance to create powerful children who were heirs to the throne with Queen Kane and also sighted, so he would pretty much get the entire initiative finished if he had just had kids with Queen Kane. But he was in love with Magra, and so they ran away. But I don't think that really fits Gerald Morel's character because, okay, he's in love with Magra, but we know that he's had these children with multiple women, and ultimately it didn't do anything because he still left Magra too. So that's a funny way of showing love. So then moving on from Queen Kane and Princess Magra, let's go back to the cave because they're setting up a lot of interesting storylines in here. So we already talked about the conflict between Taniwha and Kofun, right? This was alluded to in episodes past, and then we got our first real fight between them earlier in the episode. Now they double down on it. Even Taniwha, in a scene where they're imprisoned, she tells Baba Voss is like, you know, we're all gonna, you know, we gotta stay together, somebody's gonna feed us, and we're gonna, you know, find our way to escape. Taniwha says, like, how long are we going to be able to hold it together? How long are we going to be able to stay a unit? She's already alluding to the fact that relationships are falling apart at the seams at this point. You know, I think Magra was a really unifying force for the group, somebody that they all loved with everything in them and would die for. And now that she's gone, I think these relationships are really going to be strained and tested. Of course, they all still love each other, but there's a difference between loving someone and being able to be with them and around them and be one cohesive unit. So then we meet a new character by the name of Delia, who's Boots' mother, and she reveals that no, Boots was not abandoned by his tribe. He was abused, so that was true, but he wasn't abandoned. He slaughtered his entire tribe. He killed them all, starting with the people who had abused him, then to the people who he just didn't have the best relationship with. And I mean, it must have gotten down to killing innocents because she said at the end it was only her and Boots left. So then I don't know. They didn't really reveal why Boots trapped his mother in the glowworm cave. Maybe it was to protect her. I don't know. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see Delia's character again. I think she was just there to serve that purpose of giving the group that information. But watch how this episode wraps up because this is where we get into some juicy stuff about what's going to happen in the future, and we'll make some predictions. So Delia pretty much says this boy is gone. Like, he's corrupted, he's been abused, and it's sad, but somebody needs to kill him. When you find him, kill him. Guess who says she's going to do it? Taniwha. So this kind of nicely sets Taniwha out on this path to redemption, right? A chance to right her wrongs. I mean, in her head, she's probably thinking she's the reason that they're in this situation anyway. She was the main one who was adamant that they bring Boots into this family, that they bring Boots into their tribe, and now they're not only trapped, but their mother is dead, and so Taniwha sees this as a chance to avenge her mother's death. Now, let's fast forward because you already know they get out of the cave. You've seen the episode. Let's get to the next juicy bit, as we talked about earlier in the episode, but now with more context. Boots asks for the loyalty of Magra. Now guys, this has so many implications, and you could kind of see it in Magra's eyes right before they cut to black. She has that Kane blood in her, right? And now she has the chance to be the most powerful person because she has a seeing lieutenant, right? In what we see as the most powerful army in the world, if not just America. So this is where I get into my predictions, guys. And this is still a long way off. I don't know if this will happen this season or earlier next season. I think Queen Kane is going to seize this opportunity for power, right? She's going to make Boots her lieutenant. She's going to become the most powerful person in the land. She'll have the army at her side. She'll have a seeing lieutenant. Queen Kane is still being held for ransom right now. Magra's the one in charge. And don't forget, guys, this was what she wanted. This was her primary motivation before Baba Voss, before her family, before all that. Before she ran away, she wanted to be queen. And she tried to take the throne, and that was taken from her. So she accepted her fate and fled. She was happy with her life with Baba Voss and her kids. She didn't want to go back into that world. Now she's getting a taste for it. Now she sees she actually has the chance to be the queen. And because that was her first motivation, at least that we know of, guys, I think that's what's going to happen. Now, Tamakhti June is really loyal to Queen Kane and will probably be fighting for her ransom. So I don't know. Look out. I think that Tamakhti June could die very soon. Now the enemy is time. Okay, she still loves her kids more than she loves Boots. But how long is it going to be before they're reunited? And how stuck in her position of power will Princess Magra be, or Queen Magra, probably at that time? How stuck in that world will she be when her family comes back? And Taniwha, okay, has a mission to kill her lieutenant. Now, of course, this is all motivated by the fact that Taniwha thinks she's the primary reason that her mother's dead, so perhaps seeing her mother alive will get rid of her bloodlust and desire to see Boots killed. At the same time, she may be so entrenched in that mission, and the fact that Boots did betray them, that she'll want to kill him anyway. Now, another way it could go, obviously, Queen Kane finding out that Boots was the one who imprisoned her family, she could just turn on Boots and, like, have him killed. Now, guys, if you've stayed on this long, thank you so much. I've got 2 little Easter eggs for you. We saw Gerald Morel in the cave, in the glowworm cave. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it was super dark, but I could have sworn it was Gerald Morel, which means that he's aware. He knows everything right now. He knows that Taniwha's trying to kill his other son, Boots. He knows where Team Baba Voss is right now. He knows that they think Magra's dead. Maybe he thinks Magra's dead at this point. We don't know, but I'm going to project and predict that this has major implications if Gerald Morel wants to be king with Magra when he finds out that she is alive and that his son Boots is the lieutenant. That seems like the ultimate setup for him, and I think it's going to be something that he goes after. Now, back to my prediction that Taniwha was going to be evil. Guys, I know a lot of you have disagreed with me on this. Every episode, they give me something. They give me something little that further goes down that path that Taniwha is going to be evil. So as I said way earlier in the episode, Delia tells Baba Voss she saw. Be so very careful with her. I don't know what it is that she saw. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I missed it. I watched the episode a couple times, but I'm sure we're going to find out more about that later. But here, some of Baba Voss's suspicions are starting to be confirmed. He's hearing, be careful of your daughter. Watch this girl, okay? And now we see that she's seen something. Now we know she can see, but she didn't say she sees. She says she saw. That is a tongue twister. So as to what she saw, I have no idea. Let me know in the comments if you know or if you have a theory. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, and I've been saying it since episode 4, watch out for Taniwha. Low key. Low key. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, there was a ton to unpack, so I really want to hear all your thoughts and theories. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. And if you like talking about movies and TV shows, and obviously be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you can find out when we drop more episodes just like this one. Thank you to all of our subscribers, as always, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!